Welcome back to the channel, my Fallout community. How are you doing today? I hope you're all well. And today what I thought I would do, we've been doing a series of videos to help new players out, or returning players to specifically Fallout 4, but what we're going to talk about today can be kind of used across the different Fallout games, and that is just my opinions and my philosophy on weapons. I thought this video was very important to do stand alone, just to give me my feelings on the subject, and I think it will help especially newer players to get the most out of their weapons, make sensible choices, and also make their perk tree be a little bit more efficient, or make some fairly informed decisions what perks they're going to use. So we're going to talk about that today. Before we move on though, I want to be very clear, this series is really for specifically for beginners, newer players, returning players, although I'm sure many of you will have opinions, and if you have opinions, that's fantastic. Please feel free to express them. I will though again talk about the fact that I don't tolerate negative comments on this channel. I don't tolerate personal attacks on this channel, and with a few of these videos in the last few weeks we've been receiving those. I have a zero tolerance policy on this channel to that kind of stuff. If you are going to personally attack me or make a derogatory comment, then that will be taken down, and you're gone. You do not participate in this channel again ever. So please be respectful, be mindful of that. The large majority of you will have conversations with me in different points of view, and that's fine. We've done that many times in the past, and I just ask you to be mindful and respectful in your comments. And without further ado, let's get into it. So Fallout 4 has just a myriad, absolute myriad of weapons to choose from. There are just so many weapons that you can choose from and run with, and it does cater to many different play styles. You can go stealthy, you can use a melee character, you can use laser weapons, energy weapons. There's just so many ways you can go with your weapon choice in Fallout 4, and I think that speaks to a large degree how they designed the game. Now I think they specifically designed the game to cater to majority of people, so with varying needs and varying play styles, and I think it's extremely healthy, and I think that's helped the longevity of Fallout 4 since it launched. And it's certainly it's something that I think you should dabble with it when you're in your early playthroughs, to try and establish what kind of fits you. And that's the thing about weapon selection. Weapon selection has got to fit you and your playstyle and the way you want to play the game. But again, you know, I've seen people who have used certain weapons that have come back and done playthroughs with pistols only, for instance, or melee only. And so, you know, you shouldn't be afraid to experiment with different weapon types and just see what happens. It can be a heck of a lot of fun to do that, and you might actually surprise yourself, because one of the things that I love about this game is the fact that some of the descriptions are not exactly telling you the whole story, with some, especially with some of the legendary weapons, and we'll get into that in a bit. So there's a number of categories of weapons that you can lay your hands on. Now, you don't have to stick a specific category of weapons if you want. Yeah, I'm not here to tell you how to play the game. I'm here just to give you a kind of philosophy and some ideas, and it's up to you. But you have a number of categories of, well, what I'd call the categories of weapons. You've got ballistic weapons, which is your kind of assault rifles, your combat rifles, shotguns, SMGs, LMGs, launchers, you name it. And it's probably the biggest category in the game. Then beyond that, obviously, I would put pipe weapons separate to ballistic weapons, although they're very similar. But pipe weapons are, I believe, a whole different category. You've obviously got energy weapons or plasma weapons, and then you've got laser weapons, which are separate, and then of course you've got all the melee weapons that you can put your hands on. So within all of that, I believe that it's probably worth, in your first playthrough, just trying every single weapon category, just to get an idea of what kind of suits you, what you like, what you don't like, and see what works for you. For me personally, I love my ballistics weapons. I love my snipers, I love my pistols, I love my rifles. That, for me, that's the category that I migrate to nearly 95% of the time. Have I tried the other weapons? Yep. And those, quite frankly, the other weapons don't really suit my play style. Although, you know, if I wanted to do specifically a melee build or playthrough, or a stealth playthrough, obviously I might mix and match a little bit with that selection of weapons. But for me specifically, I like my ballistic weapons, and I think it's important for you to kind of get your head around what the category of weapons actually work for you straight up. It's very important, and what within that category, what is the mix of weapons that work for you. And I would specifically say to you, once you figure that out, once you've got that in your head and you've got what works for you, don't use any other categories of weapons. Just stick to one category, and there's a very, very important reason why, and we'll get into that in a while. But that is my advice. That's my philosophy on weapons. Go find the weapon, number one, that works for you. Number two, identify what category that the majority of those weapons fit into, and stick with them. So for a couple of reasons. Number one is the perk tree, and we'll talk about why it is important that the category aligns with the perk tree, and it will make you more efficient at playing the game. Number two is the ammo and the ammo types, and what you're carrying and what you're not, because ammo is a very, very good currency in the Wasteland. And so if you can get used to using a limited number of weapons with a limited number of ammo types, then you can use every other ammo type as your currency to gain caps and build your inventory and build your weapon collection, and etc, etc. So adopting this philosophy that I'm talking about will mean that you will never ever have to buy ammo again, because if you do it correctly, you'll be able to trade out the ammo that you're not using for the ammo that you are using, and even in most cases make caps back. And also that goes for all the weapons that you're not using that you pick up, and you will pick up an absolute ton. So that's why I say it's, if you stick to a specific category, it's going to just make life so much easier from the point of view what you're picking up, what you're carrying, what you're not carrying, and what you're using to get ahead in the game. So let's move on to why I think it's important for the perk tree. And there are, you can see the perk tree, I think there's 72 perks in the perk tree, and there's a number of them that are aligned with with weapons, specific weapons. And this is where I think you'll get the most out of this strategy. Now, first up, there are going to be a number of perks that are necessary, such as gun nut, regardless of what weapon category or what weapons you're using. But after you get past that, you can start to really hone in on what is the category that I'm using. For instance, am I using melee weapons, and then start adding perks to adding points to the perks that make sense. If you're using melee weapons, there's no way you need to add perks to riflemen, for instance. You're going to go with the ones that make sense. Likewise, if you're using ballistic weapons, there's a whole different set of weapons set of perks that you're going to need for those weapons. And if you adopt the philosophy that I'm talking about, it is just going to make life a lot easier. You're going to get a lot more out of your your perk selection, the points that you're going to use or going to need to use, and the perks that you need to select to get things done. And I think that's an important thing to understand, that this just gives you a much more tailored way of playing the game. It gives you a specific character build to play the game, and therefore you're not guessing a lot of the time what you want to spend your points on. Also, you're going to go through, as you go through your journey in the Commonwealth, you're going to pick up a lot of buffs, specific buffs. For instance, here's the bobblehead. So there's a big gun bobblehead, there's an energy weapon bobblehead, etc. So again, if you're using a certain category of weapons, then you can go after the specific buffs that you need early on. Same goes to is going to go with the magazines that you pick up, and you can very much tailor these magazines and these bobblehead searches to what you're actually using, and it will mean that you're going to be overpowered quicker than you would normally be just blundering through the Commonwealth, picking up whatever, not really having an idea of what you want to get done and what guns you're using, what you're not using, etc, etc. Because ultimately the objective here is to get your guns up and overpowered as quick as possible. As quick as possible, you want to choose your weapons and then invest all your time, perk points, whatever, into those weapons. And again, with the crafting side of things, now if you're investing in specific weapon types or weapon categories, then you can start to modify things quicker, because you're investing in things like gun in science and whatever it might be, and ranking that up quicker. So it opens up all these mod slots much quicker for you, and therefore your gun's going to be much more overpowered quicker in the process than it would normally be if you were just picking up lots and lots of different guns and trying them out and using them for a while and then getting another one, etc, etc. So all of this kind of comes together nicely, and I think it's, to some degree, that's the way that the devs designed the game to work for you. Now, the last thing I sort of want to talk about is legendary weapons. And legendary weapons, although they can be very overpowering to enemies, if you adopt the philosophy I'm talking about, you're going to have the same result, because your weapons get overpowered quicker, and therefore you're able to deal with enemies no problem whatsoever. It's regardless of what they are. Legendary weapons, on the other hand, tend to be a little bit more specific to certain enemies and certain categories. So if we look at at my little collection of legendary weapons that I've got, and I tend to store all my legendaries together. For instance, we have here the pipe bolt action pistol. You can see time slows down for a moment while aiming, so that's a nice buff. So that's not too bad. This one again improves VAT, hit chance, 25 less action point cost. That's kind of nice. So they're nice. They're specifically tailored and you can complement with perk choice on that. But then you get to a weapon like the Exterminator Discipline Knife, and you can see this is specifically designed to come up against Mirelurks and bugs, for instance. So if we can find another one here. There's one there, the Ghost Slayer, and this is one we've been using recently. You saw some clips at the start of this video. This Ghost Slayer high capacity heavy napalm does 50% more damage against ghosts. Not to say that it won't help you kill enemies, but you're going to get more benefit coming up against ghosts. So I guess that's the trade-off. Are you going to, what legendaries do you want to carry, and do you want to carry an absolute crap ton of weapons that have a specific application, or do you want to concentrate on one category of weapons and upgrade them to the wazoo so that they're overpowered and they can deal with all the different enemies that you're going to come up against. I guess that is a specific choice that you're going to have to make for your own build. But again, with some of these legendary weapons, it will need you to invest perk points in certain perks that you might not necessarily invest in otherwise to get the most out of them. And so again, legendary weapons are good, but you'll see in my own kind of build of weapons that I'm using, I'm only using a couple of legendary weapons. Most of the time I'm using stock standard weapons that I modify, and that's kind of how I've always played the game, and that's where I've found the most success. So I'll leave you with this thought: there is no right or wrong answer with Fallout 4 or any of the Fallout games. It's a single player game. You have the choice to do whatever you like with the game. I thought I'd just share my thoughts and my philosophies in the way that I play the game, in the hope that it might help you a little to just minimize the noise and all the stuff that you have to think about, and all the learnings, the key learnings in the game, things you have to pick up, what they do, all that kind of stuff. I know it can be very overwhelming, and Fallout 4, there is a lot of stuff to get your head around. So that is how I play the game. Hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, that will help you kind of come to a determination on specifically what weapon types you want to use, or how you want to approach the game, and how you get the most efficiency out of everything you're doing, including the perk chart. If it was helpful, a like rating is always appreciated. I love hearing your comments if I have made a difference, or if you've got a different point of view. I'm always open to that. Always open to how you actually play the game, and what your thoughts and feelings are. Just make sure that you're keeping it respectful in your comments, and we'll catch you next time on Gaming for XP. See ya.